Today's topic is expansion.
Expansion.
Now, I have no clue what I thought when I first came up with that title. But I did read recently that we think of this universe, this material universe, as expanding. Now, that's a recent discovery within our lifetimes. When I was growing up, there was a debate as to whether it was a bang that was expanding forever or a bang that was going to eventually go back and start all over again. Now they say it's expanding, but they say it's not just expanding at one rate, it's speeding up. So all their equations have to be redone. We were taught that Pluto was a planet too, right? And now we're taught that it's not. One of the things about science, even though it's fascinating and it illuminates our understanding of this material world, is that it's changing because our understanding is changing. It used to be a fact that if you went all the way to the horizon, you'd fall off because it was a flat planet. I mean, that's pretty clear, sky above, you know. Look over there, that ends, so if you go over there, you're just going to fall off. That was the science of those days. And the elements, fire, air, earth, water, we don't call those elements now. When I was growing up, the smallest you could get was an atom. That's what that word atom means. Then by the time we got to high school, then there were electrons and protons and such. Now we've got subatomic particles. We've got quarks, a particle called strange. They ran out of names, I think. And they have different directions and spins. And the spin, we think of as a circular thing, but one of the spins is up. One of the spins is down. So even when we use the terms such as spin, we're really talking about something that isn't quite what we mean at a macro level. So when we talk about matter, and these are things that we generally can see and manifest, we're talking about something that can be explained by the senses and also something that really can't. The senses know there's gravity, but we can't explain it. I mean, gravity is supposed to be something of all matter, so therefore a little pebble has gravity. But what is it pulling? We don't know, because it gets down to a small quantum level. The same thing is true when we speak of ourselves, except that our unseen is bigger than that which is seen. On the scientific level, it gets weird and strange when you get to the very, very small, because the laws of Newtonian physics don't apply. That's when you get into the spin and the probabilities and all of that good stuff that we've talked about before. But for us, it's not the very small. The larger part of you is spirit. It's almost like you're the nucleus of the cell, and that huge cell is what keeps that nucleus going. You know, they used to think that the nucleus is what gave the instruction and made the cell work. And they found out that it's not the nucleus, it's the membrane around the nucleus that gives instructions, that tells the nucleus what to do. So too, the self of you, that spirit, has no problems. The self of you, that spirit, knows why you do things. You know how we do something and we're like, why did I do that? Or we want to do something, we don't do it, or we don't want to do something and we end up doing it. On this level, we may not fully understand why we did it, or didn't do it. But on the level of spirit, all is known, because all is one. Now, we are units. There's only one you. There'll never be another you. But we're all connected. Spirit is one. It is not only Roy in Roy, or only Claudine in Claudine. Their spirits can touch and communicate and do constantly. And the things that the spirit of Roy is here to do is not the same as the spirit of Inez. Roy can't fill the void that Inez would leave by not being here. Roy's spirit has a reason for being in this time and space, for doing what he does, in the way that he does it. And the same with each of us. We know that our minds are unique. We know that our experiences are unique. But your spirit too, the soul of you, the self of you that knows, that greater part of you, knows why we go through these things that are inexplicable on the human level. We have experiences and we're looking for the blessing in them. And we may or may not have seen the blessing yet. But there is a blessing in them. Sometimes we can figure it out on this level. Sometimes we never know. Because sometimes you're the blessing for someone else. You may not even speak to the person. But just being who you are, as you are, does something for someone else. So we can't second guess the way we're made. We don't know on this level all those details, but we do know certain things. We know that we have a mind that thinks constantly. You can't really turn it off. Even when you sleep, you dream. Your mind is doing something. We know that we're curious. We tend to want to understand things. We want to think about them. We want to examine what's going on with that, whether it's a physical thing or an idea, something we read, something we hear, or just something we, as we're sleeping, pops up to the surface. That's unique. That's going to be different for each one of us. We want to feel good. Many of us have people that make us smile, books that make us smile, activities that make us smile. We're drawn to certain things because they feed something in us. Now, these are things that are true about everyone. So if we're living on a material level only, we're drawn to things that make our bodies feel good, whether that's sleep, a hot shower, good food. We're drawn to things that make our minds feel good, whether that's learning something new or practicing something we already know. We're drawn to things that make our feelings harmonious, whether it's laughing at something, enjoying a pet, a hobby, whatever. But we're all here in this space because we have another hunger to be fed. We want to be fed on a spiritual level. There's that within us that knows we are more than these bodies and this time and space. When we think of expansion on the physical level, we might think of steam. Water molecules expand and fill a larger space. Your soul's expansion isn't like that. On the physical level, those molecules become farther apart. On the spiritual level, you expand by doing you, by being what you are here to be in the way that only you can do it. And it's not space in between the parts of you. There is more of you. Spirit is infinite, and that includes your spirit. So there's no way for you to expand like steam. It's more of a filling in. Think of it this way. We're told that in the beginning was God. And we all can pretty much get to that on all different levels. So then why people? Because you are a unique expression of God. You are God having the experience of being you. So without you, God wouldn't know what it is to be you. You're a sense organ, as it were. You know, God as you is different than God as your brother. It's another man, another human being, another woman, whatever. But you're unique, you're special, you're made in a different way. You perceive things differently, you feel things differently. And God is having a human experience through you. So it's not just theoretical when we say you are the face of God, that these are the hands of God. That's very real. You are a physical manifestation of the one. Now we know there's unity, and there's only one God. So God, the one, is expressing through you. That is the diversity within the unity. So the God of you, and the God of you, and the God of you are still the one, are still the infinite one within, and still connected. But yet in this space-time, there is a particular focus that is you, and a different focus that is you, having these experiences and expanding by way of those experiences. You are the same nugget of life that you were when you were born. But you have expanded through the things you have experienced, what you've read, what you've decided, what you've felt. All of those things have expanded you to be who you are now. And what we're doing now will expand, and tomorrow you'll be even more. Expansion is a constant. We are all expanding in our consciousness. So we add to the world by what we do. And that's another reason why you are so important, because if you are going into the world with a consciousness of your connection, a consciousness of how important your spiritual being is, you are in the world, you exist in the world in a different way than if you're thinking only of the material. You go into the world with an attitude of inclusiveness. So if I'm including everyone, and I know that I am connected to everyone, I cannot let myself be angry at another human being, because that's me. Anything that any other human being can do, I can do. And that's true of you. Anything that another human being can do, you can do. That's Leonardo da Vinci. That's Adolf Hitler. Anything. That's even the things that have not been done yet. Because this continuum is still going. There are things that human beings can do that haven't done. The discoveries that we have now were available 10,000 years ago. I mean, the laws of physics were still there. But the understanding wasn't there. So as you grow through being you, you increase the understanding of all of us. Because remember, we're all connected. You know how there'll be an idea and it'll come to market. You say, I thought about that 3 years ago. Those ideas are in the mind of God. You are too. So when someone wanted to invent a candle that didn't drip wax, many other people had thought about it. They may not have taken any steps to make it happen. They may not have figured it out. Some of them may have figured it out and then not taken the next steps. But the ideas are out there, and we touch them, we interpret them, we see them, perceive them in different ways. Now, let's say that you have a person who's never learned to read, that all they know is what they have seen and heard, and then they learn to read. And you all know that we tithe to the literacy volunteers, so you all have helped a lot of people do this. So they learn to read, and then their mind is expanded because they now know that when he was talking about such and such, it was this book right here, and these words have more than just what was said. Or that there's this whole area of study called physics that tells me more about why light comes from these little tubes and why turning on electricity does something, and that there's a gas in there that gets excited and moves around. I understand differently. Now, some of that understanding is real practical. You know, if I step off of this, I'm going to go down that basic stuff that we can do kind of in empirical experiments and find out exactly from tangible things. But the things that are important are not things you can see. Love, understanding, faith, hope, joy, those are not visible things. Those you get through an inner expansion. We start out as babies, and you know, a baby, they're the world. The world exists for them. I want, so they holler. Here comes something, okay? What does it want? Oh, change, food, whatever. And then the baby begins to realize, wait, these things that are coming at me doing things are not me. That's a mama, that's a daddy, that's a nurse. And then they realize, okay, well, I cry, and that makes that thing happen. They realize it's not just them in the world. They get larger, they realize all these other people running around. Now we know we've got 7 billion people on the planet. We've expanded our consciousness of what to be human is. Before the internet, your world was just how far you could walk, about 12 miles square. So if 100 miles from you, something had been discovered, you could live your whole life and never know about it. But now, instantly, we can find out what's happening thousands and thousands of miles away. We can go and see what's happened in the past with our science, which is still learning and developing. We're dating things and saying, okay, well, this is so many and so many years old. This is a new element that we made by combining these two things that don't occur in nature. We're doing all sorts of things that weren't done before. Good, bad, or indifferent. We're expanding our knowledge, our awareness of this place we call home. And that's what we're doing with ourselves, expanding our awareness of this place we call home, this self that we're living through. And we're learning more and more that if God is all there is, all-powerful, all-knowing, then that means that your consciousness is within this all-knowing, all-present, all-powerful beingness. So those things that we wonder about, those things that we worry about, the answer is already there. The outcome of the situation has already been done. The seed of the outcome is in the seed of the experience. And because everything is connected, that expands outward. My experience of standing up here is connected to your experience of being. So when we go through our lives, taking a moment every day, whether it's in the morning, whether it's connected with every time you take a sip of water, if it's connected to being a certain place, whatever your particular ritual is, I personally like to connect it to something that I do during the day more than once, to remind me of this connection with this unseen, all-powerful, infinite one. If you particularly resonate to plants, that can be a reminder. We talked about using colors as a reminder. But whatever resonates with you, resonating again is a vibration, will expand you to keep you aware that God is living its life as you. You are an expression of this one all-powerful God. You are not just a human. You are not just an individual. You are an outlet for all that God is. All that God is. And the only thing that can stop that from happening is ourselves. We have the power of choice. And I can choose to be honoring. I can choose to be wrong. And I know it's wrong. But I still have that choice. Now, I'm sure for all of us here, that's an uncomfortable thing, so that we more and more find that we don't make those choices. There are some people who enjoy getting mad in traffic. I don't. But there were times when I said some mean things to people in traffic. I've expanded beyond that because my awareness of our connection won't let me do that anymore. So the more that we focus on this God self in our lives, the more our lives improve for us as well as for everyone. We are expanding into each other. We are expanding into our awareness of the unity that is. And the more we do this, the more we find not only our own understanding increases, but our sense of being nurtured is increased because we know that we are connected. You are never alone. You are never helpless. You are constantly radiating what you need, want, desire, and most importantly, what you are. So realize that you are, I don't want to say caught in a web like a spider because we're not prey and we're not caught. We are free. But you are as ubiquitous as the wind, as the air. You can use your power to make a sailboat go. That's your own journey on the tides of life. Or you can use your wind to let soap bubbles float in the air. Be playful with yourself. God does have a sense of humor. I know Einstein said it doesn't, but I surely believe it does. I know you all have too. You've asked for something and you get it, but not the way you intended. Right? Yep. It shows up in some pretty inventive ways, I'll say. Usually there's an extra little blessing tucked in the corner of that. Have fun teasing it out. Have fun finding it. But they're always there. We have blessings everywhere. And the biggest blessing is you. I really mean it when I say look in the mirror and see that miracle. Because for you to exist, the process started millennia ago. You are a plan. You are not an accident. You are you because you are needed to be you as you. And God looked at everything he made and said it was very good. And that includes you. Honor that. Let that be your bottom line. And know that the presence of God in you is expanding the good in your experience at every moment. Open to that inner teaching, because it is always there. And know how much you are loved. You are essential for the universe to be what it is. This expanding universe is expanding because you, as expressions of God, are expanding. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the process. It really is fun if you let it be. We let go and we let God. Namaste.
Man, right.